Hello friends, very good morning to all of you. Once again I'm your Nirima, and today I'm here with your lesson number 10, Sermon at Benaras. Uh, Here the very famous incident of this Kisa Gautami, who wants to his son alive, and she went to Gautam Buddha, and Gautam Buddha asked her to bring a handful of mustard seeds from a house where no one faces the death. And this is how he taught the harsh reality of life to Kisa Gautami. So this episode will describe in this lesson. It will really good and nice for a very good understanding of ultimate truth of human life. I hope you like it. Let's see the lesson. Lesson number 10, Sermon at Benaras. Yes, the Sermon at Benaras throws light upon the early life of Lord Buddha, who was originally born as a prince in the royal family. As we all know that Buddha is before he was a prince in the royal family. On being exposed to the suffering of the world which he was earlier shielded from, he left his princehood and went in search of the salvation, thus leaving all the worldly pleasures behind. And after facing one incident, because he was earlier shielded from the suffering of the world, when he come across this suffering, he left his princehood and went in search of the salvation, thus leaving all the worldly pleasures behind, and he started searching for the salvation. Upon attaining spiritual awakening, he gives his first sermon in the city of Benaras. Here, by making a lady named Kisa Gautami realizes that men are mortal and a wise person should not grieve at what is bound to happen, for it only enhance pain and suffering. And he was upon attaining spiritual awakening in this search of salvation, and he gave his first sermon in the city of Benaras. And a lady named Kisa Gautami realizes that men are mortal and a wise person should not grieve at what is bound to happen, for it only enhances pain and suffering, not more than that. So we are a living being, we are a mortal, and every mortal being has to face one day this death, which is the ultimate truth of human lives. Yes, first paragraph. Gautam Buddha, 1563 BC to 1483 BC, began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautam in northern India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. They had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty. Now, sacred means embodying the laws or doctrines of religion. Scriptures means the sacred writing of a religion. Befitted means be appropriate for, shoot, chanced upon, came across by chance. Okay, so Gautam Buddha was born to a North Indian royal family as a prince and was named Siddharth Gautam. His name was Siddharth Gautam. He was sent to far away place when he was 12 years old. He was sent away when he was gaining his consciousness, and he was sent far away place when he was 12 years old to study Hindu sacred scriptures, and upon returning 4 years later, he got married to a princess. So after 10 years study, 4 years studies of this Hindu sacred scriptures, after returning he got married to a princess. Soon they both had a son, and they continued to live the royal life for about 10 years. Okay, and they had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty, and they continued to live this royal life for about 10 years. At about the age of 25, the prince, heretofore shielded from the suffering of the world, while out hunting, chanced upon a sick man, then an aged man, then a funeral procession, and finally a monk beginning for alms. Okay, alms means money for food given to poor people, charity, enlightenment, a state of high spiritual knowledge. This sight so moved him that he at once went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. Okay, so 10 years he was enjoying his married life and royal life. He married a princess, they had a son, and he lives this royal life about 10 years. The royals were shielded from all the unpleasant experience of the world until the prince met a sick man, an aged man, a funeral procession, and a monk looking for alms. This experience acted as eye-opener for him, and thus he left all the royalty behind to seek a higher sense of spiritual knowledge. Look, look, this aged factor, this sickness, a funeral procession, these all are the ultimate reality of our life. Means every human being passing from the phase of this sickness. Then this uh, aged aged factor is the ultimate truth of our, that one day we will become old and our body become weak and we have to suffer from so many problems. So these are the harsh reality, and finally we will face the ultimate truth of our life, that is our death. So this idea and concept should keep away from him, and once he was on his way, and he will see this all things like sick man and old age man, and he also go through the funeral procession, and then he decide to become a monk, or rather we can say that then he decide to get the ultimate truth and knowledge, enlightenment, which is the higher sense of spiritual knowledge. So he started roaming in the search of this enlightenment, and he left all his royal life behind, and he started roaming in jungle for getting this enlightenment, or rather we can say that's a higher sense of spiritual knowledge. He wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under a peepal tree, where he vowed to stay until enlightenment came. Enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree, tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understandings. Okay, so wandered to move without a fixed course, vowed, solemnly promised to do a specified things. Okay, so Gautam Buddha went in search of enlightenment for about 7 years before he finally came across a peepal tree and chose to sit under it till he became awakened. Until he won't get enlightenment, he decided to sit under that peepal tree. When he finally attained salvation after 7 days of hard work, when he finally got his answer, when he finally attained salvation after 7 days, he decided to retitle the tree as the Bodhi tree, which means the tree of wisdom. So he gave the name of that peepal tree, that Bodhi tree, which means Bodhi means who give wisdom to him, and he himself came to known as a Buddha. Okay, so and started sharing his understanding after getting that understanding of long 7 days hard work. He gave name that peepal tree a Bodhi tree, and he started teach and share his new understanding regarding the spiritual things to the other people. At that point he became known as the Buddha, the awakened or the enlightened. The Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benaras, most holy of the dipping place on the river Gangas. That sermon has been preserved and is given there. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of suffering. Okay? And he himself came to be known as Buddha, which means the awakened. Buddha means the awakened. He had even begun preaching his new realization, and his first sermon was given in the city of Benaras. The city of Benaras is known to be sacred as it resides on the bank of the river of Ganga. The first sermon he gave was preserved and is famous till date. It is given, okay? It gives a new perspective to man's unending suffering. Now he become a preacher, so he preached his first sermon at the city of Benaras, most holy place at the river of Ganga. Okay, and it reflects Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of suffering, means man's unending suffering, and upon that suffering he started preaching, because he has got that enlightenment regarding this suffering, and this is how he used to make people understand that what is the ultimate truth of their lives. Kisa Gautami had an only son, and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said, "She has lost her sense, the boy is dead." Now, here it's a very good example of Kisa Gautami, that it talks about a lady named Kisa Gautami whose son had recently died. She has only one son, and he had died. She had only son. Struck with unending pain and sorrow, she took her son door to door and requesting for a wonder drug that could bring his son back to life. Quite obviously, everyone thought that the lady had lost her ability to think clearly, because no one can make a dead body alive, and she wants some medicine which can clear or make things as before with his son. But we all know that that is not possible. That can't be alive, and that is why she took the dead body of his son door to door and asked neighbor to help her give some wonder drug that could bring his son back to life. And quite obviously, everyone thought that the lady has lost her ability to think clearly, so she was not in her senses. She had, uh, you know, she had she had lost his control over her senses in the grief and pain of losing his son. At length, Kisa Gautami met a man who replied to her request. "I cannot give the medicine for the child, but I know a physician who can." And the girl said, "Pray tell me, sir, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Shakyamuni, the Buddha." The name of Buddha is Shakyamuni. Okay? And says that go to the Buddha. Kisa Gautami repaired to the Buddha and cried, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." Okay? And she took her son door to door requesting for a wonder drug that could bring his son back alive. Quite obviously, everyone thought that the lady has lost her ability to think clearly. Going on from door to door, she finally came across a man who couldn't offer any medicine but lead her to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Filled with hope, the lady visited Gautam Buddha and begged him for a cure for her child. So, according to suggestion of a person, he says that give me the name of a person who can bring my son back. And he said that go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha. Kisa Gautami finally go to Buddha with the hope that she will get her son back. And she asked she begged him for cure her son. And she visited Gautam Buddha for getting his son alive. The Buddha answered, "I want a handful of mustard seed." And when the girl in her joy promised to procure it, the Buddha added, "The mustard seeds must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or a friend." Okay? Now what happened? Buddha answered that, "Okay, I will cure your child, but I want a handful of mustard seed." And she was you know, in her joy, she promised that she will bring mustard seeds from home. But at the end, the Buddha added the things that mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost his dear ones or loved ones. No house has faced this procession of death, and it is not possible. But these things he wants to understand, he wants to make understand Kisa Gautami, and that is why he put this kind of condition according to in front of her. Just as the man said, Gautam Buddha had a solution. He asked Kisa Gautami to get a handful of mustard seeds. Restored with hope, like Kisa Gautami thought it to be very simple task, until Lord Buddha instilled a condition that the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. So you have to take a handful of mustard seeds. It's a very easy task. But lastly, you know, put a condition in front of Kisa Gautami that the mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, parent, husband, or a friend. Poor Kisa Gautami now went from house to house, and the people pitied her and said, "Here is mustard seed, take it." But when she asked, "Did a son or a daughter, a father or mother die in your family?" they answered her, "Alas, the living are few, but the dead are many. Do not remind us of our deepest grief." And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. Now, once again, Kisa Gautami went from door to door, but this time she was looking for mustard seeds. Now, many had mustard seeds to offer, but none of them could fulfill Lord Buddha's condition of having seen no deaths in the family. Okay, everybody is ready to give a handful of mustard seeds, but no one can fulfill the wish of Buddhas, the condition of Buddhas, that no one has facing the death in their family, and everyone has facing this death ritual. And upon being asked, the people requested her not to remind them, and they are asking, when she asked that your family or you haven't faced any death in your place, at that time they says that living beings are less, but the non-livings are in a many number, but dead are many. Okay, the living are few, but the dead are many. And they told her that please don't remind us of our deepest grief. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. And she won't be able to find any house where no one is died. Okay, so and upon being asked, people requested her not to remind them of their deepest grief, because everyone has passed through this deepest grief of losing losing their own dear ones and loved ones people. Unfortunately, she couldn't find a suitable home to get mustard seeds for his son, and she won't be able to find any suitable home for the condition of Buddha. Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless and sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. At last, the darkness of the night reigned everywhere, and she considered the fate of men, that their lives flicker up and are extinguished, extinguished again. Okay? So all hope was lost for Kisa Gautami, and thus, in extreme anguish and pain, she found herself a place to ponder at the edge of the road. She continuously watched the city lights blinking and observed them till there was just darkness all around. After a deep reflection, she realized that man's fate was just like the city lights that flicker and extinguish repeatedly. The cycle of birth and death is nature's way of working. So no one can change this cycle, this chain. Okay? And suddenly she became conscious as to how selfish she had been in her sorrow, and that one who was born must rest eternally. Okay, and that is why in our Gujarati there is one saying that Naam hoy anu nash hoy. So every human being has its own day of death, because it's a nature's way, nature's cycle, that every birth and death, every human being has to face this death. One day they have to face this harsh and ultimate truth of the life is death, and one has to face. And suddenly she became conscious as that how selfish she had been in the sorrow and pain, that she won't be able to understand this nature, the cycle of the nature. Okay, how selfish she had been in her sorrow, and that one who was born must rest eternally. Men are mortal, and the ones that are immortals had covered a path free from all worldly pleasures. So every man who are mortal, okay, and the ones that are immortals have covered a path free from all worldly pleasure. And this is how she got the ultimate truth of the life, and that is the death. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? Death is common to all. Yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality, who has surrendered all selfishness. And she get consciousness, and she become uh, aware about her, that how selfish she was in her grief, and she get the understand that death is a common to all, and yet in this valley of desolation there is a path that leads him to immortality, who has surrendered all selfishness, and you become immortal. More men are mortal, and that ones that are immortal had covered the path of free from all worldly pleasure. So the path which Buddha accepted, okay, Buddha accepted, and Buddha, follow the path of this selfishness. That is the only way to get salvation, or that is the only way to become immortal. Mortal, immortal. So whenever you are, getting the path of this sacrifice, the selfishness, okay, you are surrendered all selfishness, means the selflessness. When you gain, at that time you are on the path of salvation. Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is a death. Of such a nature are living beings. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals, when born, are always in danger of death. Okay, so according to Lord Buddha, the life of mortals is troubled because they have not made peace with the fact that one who is born must rest eternally. There is no way a living being can avoid facing death. That is the compulsion. Whether you like it or not, you have to face it one day. So, better you have to accept it that one day we will be ended, or one day we will have to face the death because it's a nature's way. So, according to Lord Buddha, the life of mortal is troubled because they have not made peace with the fact that if you accept that, then it will be easy. But whenever you won't be able to accept it, then it is troublesome for that person. That one who is born must rest eternally. There is no way living being can avoid facing death. Just like a ripe fruit is more prone to falling, an aged mortal is bound to die. Okay? As the ripe fruits are early in danger of falling. As we all know that ripe fruits can easily fall down. So the ripe fruits are always in a danger of falling. So mortals, when born, are always in danger of death. Whenever you have started taking your breath, whenever you have started breathing, this countdown will start, and one day you have to face this danger of death. As all earthen vessels made by the potter and in being broken, so is the life of mortals, both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise. All fall into the power of death, all are subject to death. Okay? Just like a ripe fruit is more prone to falling, and aged mortal is bound to die. Just like all earthen vessels break at some point. Like we can say that the vessel, which is the basic nature of earthen, means mittika. Okay? Then earthen vessels break at some point, so do men. Whether old or young, foolish or wise, death leaves none. It's not like, okay, you are wise, you are intelligent, then you won't, then you are not, considerable at this eternal peace. Whether you are foolish, whether you are intelligent, wise, whether you are young or old, death leaves none. Death is the ultimate truth of every living being. Whether you are foolish, whether you are young, whether you are old, you are wise, you are royal, you are poor, death leaves none. Death is a simple truth for every living being. Of those who overcome by death depart from life, a father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen their relations. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off, like an ox that is led to the slaughter. So the world is afflicted with death and decay. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. Okay? Kinsman, a man who is one of a person's blood relations. Lamenting means express regret or disappointment about something. Slaughter, killing of animals for food, affected adversely. Now, the only way death works is by withdrawing the person from the living world. The person ceases to exist. No one has control over death. Neither a father can save his son, nor a kinsman his relative. Just like an ox is taken to the slaughterhouse to be killed, so does death do with mortals, leaving none behind. Thus, the one who knows this truth and doesn't grieve at his loss is the one who has been called wise by Lord Buddha. Now, what he says that death is something which is not in the control of a human being. Now, if father cannot save his son, okay, or nor any kinsman means any relative can save his relations or relative. Mark that while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off like an ox that is led to the slaughter. Okay, like animals took to the slaughter, like to the in a particular place of Qatl Khana to kill them. Similarly, no one can save them, as in similar way people are going to be die at a certain point, at a certain time. The death is the ultimate truth of human lives, and no one can save, rather your relatives or father cannot save his son, or you cannot save your relatives. So no one can save you from this death. That is the ultimate truth of your life. Okay, thus one who knows the truth and doesn't grieve at his loss is the one who has been called wise by Lord Buddha. And that is why Buddha says that where on a certain things, when you haven't control over that, then the ultimate and a wise person is according to a person who is accept the things. That is according to him, he is a wise man. Okay, so who doesn't grieve at his loss, and the one who has been called wise by Lord Buddha. So now who accept this ultimate truth of life and never grieve on his loss according to Buddha, that is the wise person in this world. Not from weeping nor from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. On the contrary, his pain will be greater and his body will suffer. He will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. Okay? According to Lord Buddha, one should not grieve, weep, or be miserable at something which is bound to happen, for it will keep man away from obtaining peace of mind. It will only multiply the pain and suffering, thus leading to a physical weakness, and moreover, no amount of grief would bring back the dead. Okay, so Lord Buddha says that one should not grieve, weep, or be miserable at something which is bound to be happen, for it will keep man away from obtaining peace of mind, because this suffering is first of all snatch away the peace of your mind, and it will only multiply your pain and suffering, and thus leading to a physical weakness. Your mental condition affect your health too. Okay, so leading to a physical weakness, okay, and it won't be able to obtaining peace of mind, and it will only multiply your pain and suffering, because what sort of suffering or mourning you are doing, the dead one can't be back, because you won't be able to get them back with your pain, with your suffering, with your mourning, to mourn on something. Okay, so and this will leading to a physical weakness only, and moreover, no amount of grief would bring back the dead. That is the ultimate truth. If you died, um, uh, sorry, if you die with if you die from crying, you want back your dead person back. So this is how Buddha wants to accept the ultimate truth and reality of life of every human being, that is the ultimate truth of every human being, and one should accept it. And the one who accept it is and making no grief and this kind of act of suffering, or suffering from pain. So a wise person is who accept the death of a person and and move on in his life. According to Buddha, he is a wise person, because no grief, no physical weakness, no pain, no suffering can bring back the dead one. It is very important to understand that one must move past feelings like sorrow and grief, as it is the only way that leads to the path of salvation. And whenever lamentation, salvation, whenever you want to achieve the path of salvation, you really need to free yourself with the past feelings like sorrow, grief. Okay, and what are the other feelings? Attachment, that strings of attachment. You have to free yourself from this, and then you will be able to get that salvation. And for salvation, it is the needed that you have to accept the truth of your life, and after accepting it, you have to follow certain things and make your mind powerful and strong enough to accept the harsh reality of your life, and then you will be able to get salvation. Otherwise you won't be able to achieve that. So this is how you will come across that how Buddha taught the harsh reality, the bitter truth of life, that is the ultimate goal of any human being, any living human being. And this is how Kisa Gautami understand the concept and idea of salvation. And through this example, we will also get a knowledge that is the ultimate goal of our life. So I hope we will also in the path of getting enlightenment of our life. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. He who has drawn out of the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. He who has overcome all sorrow will become free from sorrow and be blessed. Okay, as I told you before, that a person who is really able to accept the things, it will only help you to become a enlightened man, or it will make your life easy. And he says that a person who is not be able to do that, who it will keep man away from obtaining peace of mind, who is doing constantly grief, it won't be able to obtain a peace of mind. It will only multiply the pain and suffering, and thus it will leading to a physical weakness. And moreover, no amount of grief would back with this dead one. It is very important to understand that one must move past feelings like um, like suffering, pain, sorrow, grief, and as it the only way that leads to path of salvation. Okay, and become free from sorrow and be blessed, and that is the only thing which will help you to overcome all the sorrow, will become a free from sorrow and be blessed. And at the end, I would like to sum up my presentation with the very beautiful quote of Buddha's: no one can escape death and unhappiness. If people expect only happiness in life, they will be disappointed, because unhappiness, death, these are the ultimate truth of life. You won't get anything easily. In your life, you have to face this phase of death as well as unhappiness, hard time, struggle time. It is not like that you won't get happiness any time, but you won't get happiness every time. If you expect that only happiness is the only part of your life, then you will be disappointed, because this is the harsh reality, that you will get unhappiness, you will come across with the concept of death, and unhappiness is the ultimate truth of life. Yes, happiness is a part of your life and you will get your happiness. But if you say that you know, I want any single unhappiness in my any a single unhappiness in my life, then it won't be possible. After passing so many trouble, or facing so many unhappiness, you will get one happiness, and that will be a awesome one, that will be a worthy. But we can say, as we can understand a simple concept, that in our life everything is not smooth. Okay, everything is not running smooth, everything is not in our control. So we must face this harsh and hard aspects and phases of life, and then we will achieve our happiness. So happiness is something that we have to achieve. It is not something that we will get. Okay, and to achieve this happiness, we have to face unhappiness in our life first, and then we will be able to understand the importance of happiness in our life. And that is the ultimate truth of our life, whether we accepting it or not, it doesn't matter at all. We have to face, because this is the truth, and have to and truth has its own place, and no one can escape from the truth of life. And this death and unhappiness is the ultimate truth of life. And if you are expect only goody things in your life, then you will be disappointed, because that isn't the ultimate truth of your life. And everyone has to face this truth once in a life. So Buddha gives a very good message through this, that if you want to enlighten yourself, then accept certain truth of your lives, and it will become easy to live. Because when acceptance should be there, you will be able to work in a particular but in a particular way or manner. Whenever you get knowledge, whenever you achieved it, the things will become easy. Okay, so acceptance should be there. And I think this is the one thing which we all have to accept, it that is the ultimate goal of human life. Whatever sort of things you want in your life, whatever sort of life you are having right now, but that is the ultimate goal. Whether you are poor, whether you are rich, you are having a very good and happening life. If you are passing through so many pains and suffering, but ultimate goal of every life is the death, and that everyone should accept it. And if you accept it, then your life become easy. You will easily achieve the things, you will as easily accept the things, and you will get a real peace of mind. So acceptance should be there. I hope you like this lesson. I hope it will help you to understand the reality, the concepts of life, and it will really help you to get a real peace of your mind. We will meet in the next session of our lesson. Till then, have a good time ahead. Stay blessed. Okay, and I'm wishing you all lots of happiness in your life. We will see you in the next session. Bye bye.